Welcome back. I'm Reverend Said, and today we're going to be reading Genesis chapter 16, verses 1 through 16, the birth of Ishmael. Genesis chapter 17, verse 1 through 8, Abram is named Abraham. And Genesis chapter 17, verse 9 through 14, the mark of the covenant. And if you ain't did it already, I advise you to please hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment on any video on this channel. Alrighty, we're going to get started at Genesis chapter 16, verses 1 through 16, the birth of Ishmael. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not been able to bear children for him, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So Sarah said to Abram, "The Lord has prevented me from having children. Go and sleep with my servant. Perhaps I can have children through her." And Abram agreed with Sarai's proposal. So Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram as a wife. This happened 10 years after Abram had settled in the land of Canaan. So Abram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress, Sarai, with contempt. Then Sarai said to Abram, "This is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, and now that she's pregnant, she treats me with contempt. The Lord will show who's wrong, you or me." Abram replied, "Look, she is your servant, so deal with her as you see fit." Then Sarai started treating Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness along the road of Shur. The angel said to her, "Hagar, Sarai's servant, where have you come from and where are you going?" "I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai," she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit to her authority." Then he added, "I will give you more descendants than you can count." And the angel also said, "You are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears. For the Lord has heard your cry of distress. This son of yours will be a wild man, as untamed as a wild donkey. He will raise his fist against everyone, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in an open hostility against all of his relatives." Thereafter, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord, who had spoken to her. She said, "You are the God who sees me." She also said, "Have I truly seen the one who sees me?" So that well was named Bir Lahai Roi, which means well of living one who sees me. Well of the living one who sees me. And it can still be found between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave Abram a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. Alrighty, let's jump into Genesis chapter 17, verse 1 through 8. Abram is named Abraham. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am El Shaddai, God Almighty. Serve me faithfully and live a blameless life. I will make a covenant with you by which I will guarantee to give you countless descendants." At this time, Abram fell face down on the ground. Then God said to him, "This is my covenant with you. I will make you the father of multiple nations. What's more, I am changing your name. It will no longer be Abram. Instead, you will be called Abraham, for you will be the father of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful. Your descendants will become many nations, and kings will be among them. I will confirm my covenant with you and your descendants after you from generation to generation. This is an everlasting covenant. I will always be your God and the God of your descendants after you. And I will give you the entire land of Canaan, where you now live as a foreigner, to you and your descendants. And it will be their possessions forever, and I will be their God. Alrighty. Genesis chapter 17, verse 9 through 14, the mark of the covenant. Then God said to Abraham, your responsibility is to obey the terms of the covenant. You and all of your descendants have this continual responsibility. This is the covenant that you and your descendant must keep. Each male among you must be circumcised. You must cut off the flesh of your foreskin as a sign of the covenant between me and you. From generation to generation, every male must be circumcised on the 8th day after his birth. This applies to not only members of your family, but also the servants born in your household and the foreign-born servants to whom you have purchased. All must be circumcised. Your bodies will bear the mark of my everlasting covenant. Any male who fails to be circumcised will be cut off from the covenant family for breaking the covenant. Sarai is named Sarah, Genesis chapter 17, verse 15 through 27. Then God said to Abraham regarding Sarah, your wife, her name will no longer be Sarai. From now on, her name will be Sarah. If you notice, during my reading, I've been going back and forth, sometime calling her Sarah, sometime calling her Sarai. It's kind of a tongue twist thing. Okay, let's pick up from where we left off. And I will bless her and give you a son from her. Yes, I will bless her richly, and she will become the mother of many nations. Kings of nations will be among her descendants. Then Abraham bowed down to the ground, but he laughed to himself in disbelief. How can I become a father at the age of 100, he thought. And how can Sarah have a baby when she's 90 years old? So Abraham said to God, may Ishmael live under your special blessing. But God replied, no, Sarah, your wife, will give birth to a son for you, and you will name him Isaac. And I will confirm my covenant with him and his descendant as an everlasting covenant. As for Ishmael, I will bless him also, just as you have asked. I will make him extremely fruitful and multiply his descendants. He will become the father of 12 princes, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant will be confirmed with Isaac, who will be born to you and Sarah about this time next year. When God had finished speaking, he left Abraham. On the very day Abraham took his son Ishmael and every male in his household, including those born there and those he had bought, then he circumcised them, cutting off their foreskin just as God had told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and Ishmael his son was 13. Both Abram and his son Ishmael were circumcised on the same day, along with all the other men and boys of the household, whether they were born there or bought as servants. All were circumcised with him. All righty, thank you, everybody. That's going to wrap up our reading for today. Please join us on the next episode where we'll start at Genesis chapter 18, verses 1 through 15. A son is promised to Sarah, and we'll go over Sodom and Gomorrah. All righty, thank y'all. Y'all come back to see me now. God bless.